welcome on back into the Go Mode Podcast Twitch channel. Took a little bit of a break there, but we are back. My name is Westside Vandal. With me is Cool Papa Bell. We are doing yet another matchup. It's Game 2 of the series between Anglhz and Mr. DNA. However, Mr. DNA chose not to swap any of the flags, so this is just a bog standard defeat Ganon 7-7 open mode.
Yeah, absolutely. This rando train is going to keep a rolling today because none of us know where the brakes are. So we are off in this next race of the afternoon.
All right. A little bit of divergence immediately. Cane of Berna in Link's house. Anglhz? Oh. There we go. It was just the timer resync. My bad. So Cane of Berna in Link's house. I believe it was... I thought it was something in Sanctuary, but then the stream's timer resync happened, and my brain just left my skull.
I think it was a heart piece.
Piece of heart. Thank you, Tracker and commentator. It's not your fault my brain breaks randomly. Amarith, don't worry about it. Anyway, there was green pendant on Tower of Hera, and I believe a crystal on Eastern. I did not catch what was on Desert on that map check on Anglhz side.
Red crystal in Desert, so a couple crystals accessible fairly early on. Not much here at the Uncle, though, so we'll probably see Kakariko next from both of these runners.
Yep. I mean, you could risk magic drops and use the Cane of Berna to go through escape, but that just seems disgusting unless you're forced to do it because it's standard.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty bold choice at this point, but I guess you could do it. There's those two small magic drops at the secret passage, but it's not really enough to get you through.
Yeah, you'd have to wager on there being magic in one of the prize pools.
And so it looks like Anglhz is taking the south route to Kakariko Village, going to try and pick up a couple of bombs from the 50-50 drops on the way here.
Speaking of magic drops, that's what the Bush Crab has for us. And the Lumberjack with just a heart container. Alright, there's one 50-50 drop. There, nicely done. Nicely done, you got lucky. That's total skill, not just luck. RNG.
Absolute pure skill.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be certainly enough for Anglhz, because worst case, we can just take one of those bombs and go to the refill hut in the southwest of Kakariko, but Mr. DNA also...
I'm sorry, was that the hammer on the race game?
All right, well, that's a pretty good find early on. Whoa, what are those?
And boots in the Lost Woods Thieves hideout. Nice. That was indeed the hammer on race game, by the way.
All right, well, no complaints from our runners at this point with the early items this seed is giving us.
All right, gotta go fast. All right, so yep, there's the hammer. So yeah, it's a pretty nice items in Kakariko going on here. Bomb, the bombable wall. Whoop.
Sword in the library,
nice.
Which Anglhz will probably backtrack for after he makes it up to the Lost Woods.
All right, nothing in Blind's hideout so far. Well, there's one. Oh, hello. Early Master Sword.
Yeah, that makes you a little bit nervous, but with the hammer, we've already got one piece of normal Dark World access, so it's a little bit reassuring that our runners are trying to avoid Aga.
Yep. But as mentioned when this came up at almost the exact same time in the first race, we need one item to get to Aga 1. We still need 2 to get to Dark World without going through Aga 1. Half Magic, Blue Mail, Book of Medora, and 10 arrows. interesting Kakariko well.
Very much so. I mean, early book and boots with a crystal on desert, you start thinking about that one, although we will not be able to full complete it without a couple more things, a fire source and glove to do the back.
High five for our runners here. With explosives, because why not?
Those are the best high fives.
Yes. Preferably, the explosions are happening behind you while you don't look at them, because cool guys don't look at explosions. Meanwhile, tavern check for Mr. DNA for his first sword. Anglhz making his way back up north to Kakariko Well and Blind's Hideout and Mushroom Spot and Thieves Hideout, I would assume. Mr. DNA about to receive his Master Sword and his hammer.
And Mr. DNA getting a little bit the better of this Kakariko route just for guessing right and getting the boots very early on, and did not really have to spend any time farming for bombs the way that Anglhz did.
Okay. Now, with the boots here, I'm okay with not blind pulling race game here. Granted, we knew that you're going back for that hammer, but with the boots, it's probably a bit more time neutral to actually check before doing. But without the boots, coming down from Kakariko, I almost always just blind pull.
Yeah, and it looks like Mr. DNA is forgetting that he can just bonk through the Quarreling Brothers hut. He's is going to go out and farm for a bomb.
Oof. And another. Just to be on the safe side. I did not notice he did not have any bombs. So that's gonna make up a little bit of the time that Anglhz lost here.
He will have to do... I mean, he's got a choice to make, right? He can do a little bit of backtracking to get that second sword, which I assume he'll want to do at some point. He's also got the option of ducking over to Bonk Rocks if he wants to right away. Which I would say he would definitely do were it not for that sword lurking in the library that he wants to go back for.
Yeah. All right. So there's Mr. DNA's hammer, and we are probably going to see, I mean, I would assume we would see South Shore into Mini Moldorm and Ice Rod here.
Oh, interesting. Anglhz is taking advantage of his early book here to get some information about the pedestal. So we're going to kill or maximize the pedestal hut right away. Yep, just pocket change. That might be the earliest ped check I have ever seen.
I mean, why not? You're in the area. And, you know, assuming your opponent hasn't already done the same thing, it might be a good piece of information to have in your back pocket.
Absolutely, especially with that relatively accessible pendant in Tower of Hera, you might find yourself up on Death Mountain really soon. Knowing whether you need to finish that dungeon or not can be really valuable information.
And damn, not really having full heart at this point. Nothing to sneeze at, but other than that, 10 arrows, not really something you're interested in.
Was that a glove? I'm not sure what I saw on that island.
I did not quite see. I've got the restream up, so I'll take a look-see myself. And I didn't quite catch it.
We'll have to see if Mr. DNA checks that. Also interesting that Anglhz did not choose to go back for the sword on the library right away. Ooh, Moon Pearl.
Bug that Moon Pearl lamp in Mini Moldorm. Nobly, we think so, but we're not sure.
So I think Anglhz is thinking he'll be back past the library at some point in the future and can grab that sword then, but finding the lamp and the Moon Pearl means we can get into the Dark World by way of Aghanim right now. So Anglhz might have to go back for that Master Sword sooner than he really wants to.
Mr. DNA. What?
Out of bombs again.
Oh, yeah. Chat confirming glove, and all right. So it is looking more and more like our runners do AGA 1 here. To get their Dark World access. Because we already know there's one glove locked behind the flippers.
Yeah, that definitely makes the chances of finding normal Dark World access a lot lower. And I believe that's information that Mr. DNA does not have, because I don't think he has seen that island just yet.
He has not, no. Now, where this gets interesting is if we find, say, flippers behind the lamp lock, the dark rooms here in Eastern Palace. Looks like Mr. DNA is about to receive that information.
I think he's buying bombs first. Let's hope he ducks down to check that island.
I mean,
real fast.
I would assume he's going to do that because he's right in the air. And okay, make a liar out of me. Sure, why not? That happens far more often than I would care to admit.
That's all right. We forgive you.
All right. Anglhz going for the quick unlock. Relatively quick unlock there. Nicely done. I don't believe we've seen the big key yet here in Eastern. I haven't been paying too much attention. But regardless, there is... Oh, nope. Nope. There it is right there. Okay, cool. So there is an item locked behind the darkness here.
And it is in logic at this point, even though Anglhz doesn't have that lamp, so...
So where this gets interesting is if flippers are on that... Well, no, because we need flippers and mirror to get to Lake Hylia Island at this point. So, Cape in Agina's Cave.
The seed just poking our runners over and over again, asking if they want to do AGA.
Yep. Hey, you should go do AGA. Hey. Cape for that mirror, wait, wrong seed. Do you want to kill a wizard? Just a burrito in the vanilla big key chest in desert. So that avenue is closed off to our runners for the time being. Mr. DNA gonna check Eastern here, or desert, excuse me. We can clear the front out. We can't quite get to the back at all because we don't have a glove. That's compass. So we're going to see a key of some variety on the torch here. Small key.
And Anglhz, meanwhile, checking out Bonk Rocks and...
Getting bombs.
Not sure where he's going here. Oh, this is a
Ah! Okay, then. I mean, it's still not going to be enough for Zora money, but okay.
Yeah, I think maybe he just wanted to head to South Shore and decided he would Houlihan on the way and grab some cash.
That's also a valid point. Ah, okay. So, item on Big Chest and item on Landmalice in Desert.
I sort of thought Anglhz was going to head over and grab his second sword right now, because in his mind, I think he should definitely be sort of resigning himself to having to do AGA at this point, since he has seen that glove that's locked in the Dark World.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mr. DNA checking the big chest of Desert and receiving a heart container. So we are looking more and more like we need to go do AGA 1. I think the only thing Mr. DNA can check is, actually he can't check that because we need a glove. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we're AGA 1 at this point.
Yeah, we're out of logical checks because we can't get to Zora at all, so at least logically.
Yeah. We could definitely fake Flipper Mr. DNA, forgetting he does not have a lift upgrade. We could theoretically fake Flipper, but that's, with neither runner having access to 500 rupees, that's kind of a galaxy brain play, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, plus I guess we do still have Ice Rod Cave, because Mr. DNA had to skip out on that check because he ran out of bombs. And yeah, we've not seen Escape at all, but I think at this point Anglhz is planning on leaving that for right before AGA, especially now that he has
Yes.
that lamp.
Okay. 3/4 of a heart in the back of Saha's closet. I thought that's what I saw earlier, but I wasn't too sure. So a nice little refill for Mr. DNA there.
And runners are pretty much just swapping places now. Anglhz is going to go check out Desert, and Mr. DNA will show us Escape. He might be tempted to just jump right to Aghanim after this. We'll see. This is always the question of how far do you go trying to avoid Aghanim, and just how much time do you spend doing everything you can to avoid it.
All right, looks like I would have gone out the door to Aga to the entrance to Aga's tower, because that way you can death warp. But unfortunately, Mr. DNA didn't think of that before, so he's just gonna finish up the front of Escape here.
Yeah, I mean, it's also got with the lamp. Theoretically, all of back of Escape is in logic as well, depending on where that key is.
Mm.
So he might be thinking about wanting to get back to the front door and just go to back of Escape next, but
Yeah. The other thing to keep an eye on is, like you said, Mr. DNA was trying to get to Ice Rod Cave, realized he didn't have bombs, and saved and quit out. He has still not gone back for that yet. Now, it'll be interesting to see if there's actually anything of any significance in that location, because it might be a while before either of our runners gets there at this point. Because, I mean, worst case scenario, imagine if it's the flute and both of our runners are like, well, I don't want to go back there because it's really kind of a long walk without the flute.
yeah, exactly. Or, the other glove could just be chilling over there.
Death warp attempt by Mr. DNA. With that blue mail, those bombs not exactly doing it for him. There we go.
One other interesting point here is we were talking about that sword that Anglhz has not gone back for yet. Having picked up the cape in Agina's cave, he will not necessarily have to make that detour before he goes to Aghanim if we wind up getting forced in that direction. So that cape actually bailing him out a little bit.
Yeah. Although it might end up playing a bit more of a factor down the line, because if he does decide to do that, it might be a while before he goes back to the library.
Yeah, exactly. Coming into the Dark World on the east side and having some trouble getting over to the west might delay that even more.
All right, Dark Cross, 300 rupees. So that plus Houlihan would give us enough money for Zora. But again, I don't think that's something you're really going to see at this point.
And the 3 chests at the back of Escape are inaccessible for Mr. DNA, and they are out of logic at this point. But he can't even get there if he wants to, since he used that extra key on Zelda's cell. Neither one of those, of course, is in logic until we find a glove to make the extra key in the back accessible, logically accessible. But
Anglhz doing the thing, gonna go grab his Master Sword. Mr. DNA, meanwhile, is going to go make 100% sure he does not orphan that ice rod cave.
And yeah, the boots made that that toll that Anglhz had to pay a little bit easier, but did have to take those extra 15 seconds to go back.
Floopy. Oof. All right. So, is Mr. DNA gonna try and set up the water walk here? He is. Meanwhile, Anglhz looks like he is accepting his fate. Oh, did Mr. DNA just lose his water walk?
I don't think so. I think you can move around however you like in the overworld.
Oh, nope, okay. Alright, yep, that is definitely a glove on Lake Hylia. Good call, chat. Going to Hobo here. Receiving a little piece of love. Oh, Mr. DNA's lost that water walk now, but gets the reverse fake flipper. So now it's going to come down to is there something else locked behind flippers here in Zora's domain? Because I just realized Mr. DNA does not have 500 rupees because Mr. DNA has not Hula Hand.
Yeah, so if the sequence break is on Zora, then this is not quite going to pay off for him.
In before vanilla flippers. Unless he gets bailed out by like another 300 here in Waterfall. Or, Bombos Medallion. That's not an equivalent, but
that's something at least. It makes you feel a little bit better about spending the time on this sequence break, even if it doesn't really get you around what you were trying to skip over.
All right, red rupee on Zora Ledge, so we're not going to be seeing that come into play. Still could see Sora himself come into play because Anglhz here is going to be receiving his Sora money shortly. But at this point, I think Anglhz is going to do the needful and do the Aga 1 play, which we now know is absolutely 100% required. Mr. DNA is going to make his way to Aga Tower, and he's probably going to be in first because, and by probably I mean definitely, because Anglhz still has to fish the rupees out of Dark Cross here.
Yep, and so taking stock here, runners are going to be going to Ag at about the same time. Mr. DNA has done those fake flipper checks, whereas Anglhz spent that extra time doing the Eastern Palace dip. So pretty much the same routes from our runners, just a couple of extra checks that each one made. But I think they're both making the right decision to not completely exhaust all of the light world when the seed is pointing to Aghanim this hard.
What else is there to do? No, I think Mr. DNA did go.
I think
oh wait,
he just did Sahasrara, but not Easter.
He did. You're right.
And similarly, Anglhz could fake flipper up to Zora, but that one-off check is not the right play to make here, I don't think.
No. All right. So a couple rooms ahead is Mr. DNA. Navigating through the dark maze is Anglhz. There's the Bowman's key for Mr. DNA. Nice dash strats.
Yeah, we'll see who's been practicing their NMG Aga Tower here.
I just today I learned you don't actually have to kill those bats to get that door to open.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I was just about to say, I always just do it anyway because they're right there, but...
Yeah, I assume it's some weird thing that the bats might fly to an inaccessible place and the devs just didn't want you to have to deal with that. Who knows? But it does come up occasionally in Enemizer if you're in a kill room with some bats in it.
Okay. Mr. DNA in the next to last room here. So how many blue balls do you think we're going to see here?
I'm going to say 3. If anybody out there in chat wants to get a guess in, we'll have everyone's second favorite chat guessing game. Anywhere from 0 to 15 blue balls are possible, of course.
Yep. We've got a 4, we've got a 0. We've got somebody in chat concurring with your guess of 3. I'm going to go 7. So far, there's 0. Still 0. Anglhz needs to watch his health situation. Wow, we are still at 0. That was 4 straight energy balls for Mr. DNA there. And of course for Anglhz, because the first attempt at both AGA 1 and AGA 1, AGA 2, and Ganon is standardized per seed. That was a 0 energy ball AGA 1, so props to our restreamer.
A little bit rigged when the restreamer wins the guessing game, but okay.
That's the mushroom on the ledge. Do you want to do a fetch quest? It doesn't have to be a fetch quest.
And Mr. DNA is choosing to go into... Oh, nope, he's gonna, looks like, head south to Hype Cave.
Yep, not gonna pull a Leslie Pro and forget that that can be a thing. Sorry, Leslie, if you're watching. That was incredibly mean. I apologize.
Hey, if you haven't forgotten an obvious check at some point, you just haven't been playing Randomizer long enough. We have all been there.
Yep. All right. Oh, and there's the bacon sword in Hype Cave. Wait, deja vu. Unfortunately, the rest of the Hype Cave does not live up to the previous seed's Hype Cave. Just the bacon sword today, or in this particular seed.
I'm gonna call that... I'll call it 5. I think Tempered Sword by itself is 5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's it. It's a pretty significant difference, especially when you consider we still have not found one bow, let alone 2.
I gotta say, by the way, before we get too far away from it, stuff like that random thing about the bats is what I love about speedrunning.
There's our flippers, by the way, on
flippers
Stumpy.
on Stumpy. Is that speedrunning is just all about getting a bunch of random knowledge about a video game that's completely useless until it becomes incredibly useful. Anyway.
All right, so Dark World map check. Blue pendant on Skull, red pendant on Swamp.
And then the other red crystal here is in Pod. So still no bow, so we can't quite full clear this one yet, but a lot of items that we can get to.
And no bottle for the potion glitch either, so if this is not a small key, we're bow locked. Or it could be the mirror.
It's a good find anyway.
Yeah. Anglhz, where you going, buddy? Yep, there you are. Meanwhile, this is a lot of digs for... I don't believe we saw an item. Unless it was early and Mr. DNA is just attempting to farm rupees for Zora. Oh, he was farming money? Okay. Speaking of 50 rupees, that's the exact amount he's short, which has gotta feel bad. our first lift upgrade is on Lake Hylia Island, which which both of our runners have one component of being able to reach at the moment. Anglhz, I believe, is on his way to go grab his second.
And Mr. DNA is going to turn in this mushroom immediately.
We'll see if we see a save and quit here to maybe save that mushroom for a fake powder. I mean, it sucks because you don't have half magic, and you do have half magic, and you don't have the Cane of Samaria. So you know what? Never mind me. He's gonna keep that shield though.
Yep, and then probably just going to head right back into the Dark World. Meanwhile, Anglhz is going to head over and find his flippers as well, and probably go right back toward those gloves on the island, would be my guess.
Yep. Anglhz is going to be able to loop in Bombos and K45 here, due to finding that mirror in Palace of Darkness. So these could be some important checks because it might be a little bit before DNA gets back to those because he already has checked Stumpy. So those are two kind of, I mean, not necessarily too far out of the way checks, but they are still a little out of the way for him at this point.
Yeah, one of those weird little butterfly effect things of when you sort of lose the coin toss of which way to go first, and your opponent manages to get some more efficient routing out of it as a result.
Oh, takes a hit, so he's going to have to pay Kiki an additional 10 rupees. Not that should matter because he's got 431, so he's got, 33 additional tries at it. But gets it on the second try, pays the additional 100 rupees for Kiki to open the door. As Anglhz is about to receive his flippers from Stumpy. Stumpy's just like, I'm going to become a tree so I can no longer pursue my dream of becoming a scuba diver. Here's my flippers. Mr. DNA receives that mirror, drops what appears to be reflex bomb because he wanted to mirror out from the excitement. I mean, it could have just been a rage bomb, but either way. Oh, and because it was an AGA 1 play, of course, that mirror means if you save and quit in the Dark World, you start on top of the pyramid.
Yeah, I think that was actually intentional on this one because it's a lot faster to get to the lake to grab those gloves than if he had tried to walk out back through the Pod Kiki maze.
True.
Well, maybe not a lot faster, but
Well,
I would think a bit faster.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit faster on balance because even if he had mirrored out of Palace of Darkness and then mirrored into Light World, he still has to run from Eastern Palace to well, yeah, no, it's definitely faster because he would have had to run from Eastern Palace to Link's house and either gone north to warp using, trying to enter Hyrule Castle, or that stone behind the hammer. So yeah, definitely faster. Gonna take those gloves and check the back of escape now. Angl's gonna route in his flippers checks. He's also gonna be able to do Zora here. So we're gonna keep an eye on what the King of Scams has in store because Mr. DNA is still about 170 rupees short of being able to pay off the King of Scams.
Yep, and nothing there in back of escape, but with those gloves now, there is a whole lot open to our runners. Mr. DNA might be heading toward Death Mountain at this point with that glove. Just a lot to be done up there, but nope, gonna head over to the Kakariko portal and check out West Dark World.
All right. So Thieves Town being a crystal, and we have that hammer, so we're not going to have any potential angst about orphaning an item like we had in the last seed.
Yep, and probably also thinking that you just go ahead and dip the front of Skull Woods now, and then
Yep.
assume you're never going to have to finish it. So can get a lot done over here in this part of the world as well.
Yep. Because we are searching still for both rods. We are going to need a bow at some point. We're going to need that. Well, we are going to need the hook shot because neither of these people are Andy. We are going to need that flute, and we are going to need whatever medallions we need to enter both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. There's still, and we still need Cane of Samaria. So there's still plenty of items left to find. And that is none of the things I just listed on the chess game. The crowd control run at AGDQ is indeed, actually, I think it's Saturday night.
And we're about to get a look at what Zora has in store for us today. All the Mr. DNA fans in the crowd are definitely going to hope that's nothing, since that has been hard isolated on Mr. DNA's side.
Mr. DNA finding our first bottle of the seed in the C-shaped house. Nice bit of routing here from Mr. DNA. Gonna immediately portal to Kakariko and turn that bottle in before going into Thieves Town. And receive 100 rupees. The Twitch channel is games done quick for AGDQ.
Yeah, I like that from Mr. DNA as well. You're literally never going to be closer to Sick Kid than he was right then, so pretty much.
Speaking of Sick Kid access, Zora has a red goo filled potion.
So Mr. DNA safe from getting trolled by the Fish King today.
Not necessarily. Once he receives 73 more rupees, he could still go there.
That's true. I don't know which troll is worse, running up there and getting garbage back, or when he's just holding the hook shot the whole game.
Yep. All right. So the front of Thieves Town, just the home of Big 20s apparently, because we found 2 of them and a heart container in the front of Thieves Town. So this back of Thieves Town is not gonna pay out very well, but it is still a crystal dungeon, so we're still gonna see it. Of course, I say that and watch as it's gonna have like hook shot or one of our rods or one of the myriad numbers of progression items we still need to find.
Yeah, I've hit the point where I'm just going to complete Thieves Town first thing every time. I've been burned by items in the back of Pendant Thieves so many times, I can't take it anymore. Of course,
we do have a... Go ahead.
I was going to say a much easier decision to make when it's a crystal, but...
Yep. This is on normal, yes. It's basically the same thing you would get if you went into the Rando Discord, into the Sahabot channel, and typed did $sign preset open. So yeah, it would be on normal difficulty with advanced item placement logic.
It's unfortunate that standard mode is not really the standard mode that people play. I feel like open is so much more common, but...
Well, because, you know, escape is one of the the most execution heavy bits of the game. To be honest, it's it's 6 minutes at the start of the seed that you have to perform well. There
More
is
like 6:15 in my case, but
yeah, or 6:30 or 6:45 or 7 in my case, but there is in fact a seed rolling bot in the main Rando Discord. Do keep it isolated to its own channel though. But regardless,
Hobbot ever becomes self-aware, we're all doomed. So,
well, I mean, Saha's been taking on a lot of responsibilities. He runs our Gens Tower Big Key guessing game, for example.
our first boss fight of the seed, by the way, Mr. DNA in on blind, getting a little bit off script here, so he's going to break out that blue cane. Better safe than sorry on that one.
Yep. You get a full refill once you kill blind anyway, so might as well just use up some magic. That's a burrito.
So 40 minutes in for our first crystal is a little bit slow. The seed definitely trickling out items at a less than desirable pace at this point.
Oh, rip to Cookie 2K2's Buffalo. I should probably get my DualShock floor off the floor more often than it is, but I like to live dangerously. Graveyard Ledge check incoming from Mr. DNA here, and also probably a King's Tomb check.
Yeah, and he might even want to just go ahead and do Catfish and Zora right now.
Yep.
Again, if you talk about, he'll never be as close to Catfish again as he is right now. So if he's ever going to do it, this is the time.
And there's our Butter Sword. One thing to note, to keep in mind though, that rupee count, that is still not a 5 in front of Mr. in the hundreds value of Mr. DNA's rupee count. So he's still 53 rupees short.
Yeah,
well, 52 if he picked up that green sitting right there, but
yeah, that's a little unlucky for him.
Bombs in King's Tomb. Looks like he is going to do the thing and circle around to Catfish and Zora here, and just hope that he finds like a couple of big 20s or some rupee drops, or make a liar out of me again. Bonk rocks.
So maybe he's thinking he's gonna transition this into Death Mountain climb right now.
That could also work. I just also realized I wasn't paying full attention to Thieves Town. That's incredibly rare when when you know before you even go downstairs that there's no more items left in the dungeon. Because that was the compass in the Maiden's chest. Blind had the map, so that small key is locked in its own chest, or in the big chest. So key locked behind itself. Mr. DNA gonna have to take the long way around if you get those 50 rupees off of Bumper Ledge, but instead Mirrors to Light World, gonna do the Old Man Rescue and Death Mountain.
Yeah, he did go ahead and decide to skip Skull Woods. It's definitely understandable since it's a pendant, and you're not even sure if you're going to be able to find the items in the front of it.
Ice rod.
Nice rod there from the old man. And when you've got all these items up here on Death Mountain that you can get to with the mirror and the hammer, we can clear out everything in the light world. So definitely a lot of item density to be headed toward up the mountain right now.
So Sorry, the way you phrased that, I just immediately heard "It's Dangerous to Go Alone" by Starbomb in my head. All right. Spike Cave theoretically in logic, but that is a bit of a tough ask. Although, no, half magic, Cane of Burna, and Cape. 20 rupees on the ether tablet. And Tower of Herodip. 2 items plus the green pendant, so we'll see how far Mr. DNA takes this play.
Statue is not cooperating with Anglhz over there, but gets through the Gibdo room.
All right, compass downstairs. Small key, so big key is going to be fire locked, and Mr. DNA is going to be like, nope, never mind.
Yeah, I respect that play. If I had the hook shot, I'd probably hair a pot, but I don't think it's worth doing the basement right now.
No. You've got access to what? Spiral Cave, Paradox. That's actually pretty much it. That's the red mail on Floating Island. We are probably not going to see that.
Yeah, 8 items over here on East Death Mountain, and you can go right back to Hera if it comes up dry. So I think putting off that coffee break in the basement is the right call.
All right, Spiral Cave rushed right through by Mr. DNA with those boots, saving everybody from further singing from me. All right. Going to Paradox now is Mr. DNA. Anglhz setting up the bomb jump for the big chest here in Skull Woods. Gets a big fat pile of nothing. All right, Paradox Cave Tech. There's our bow.
There we go. There had to be some payoff up the mountain somewhere, and there it is.
All right. So that's going to put Eastern clearable, and Palace of Darkness also clearable at this point. Shovel.
That's good. We hadn't seen enough fetch quests yet.
Alrighty. Whoa. I was not paying attention. Where were Titans at?
Whoa, Titan's mitts had to have been in Skull Woods. I missed that as well.
Yep. Oh, yeah, Skullwoods had Titans. Uh-oh.
Wow, that is a big find for Anglhz. So Mr. DNA has been trying to avoid those pendant dungeons, and that skip is going to come back to bite him, unfortunately.
And that's kind of harkening back to the previous race as well, where Pendant Desert had our fire rod, which was required for Crystal Skull Woods.
I'm not surprised that Mr. DNA is going to go right to the Pod Eastern combo with his newfound bow. We'll have the advantage of only single dipping Eastern at this point.
Yep. Meanwhile, Anglhz just has a lot open to him. Had never gone back to check Back of Escape, which he's going to go ahead and loop in now. Both our runners going to be sitting pretty with that gold sword.
Yeah, those mitts are going to be big for Anglhz because it'll save him probably a Death Mountain climb, since he will be able to do all of, well, not all of Dark East Death Mountain. Can get in and do Super Bunny Cave and the first chest of Hookshot Cave if he wants to while he's up there.
Well, I would like to point out that the randomizer does account for the fact that you can reach that first chest in hookshot with the boots. So the hookshot could be sitting in that chest, which is disgusting, but perfectly valid.
Yeah, if anybody watched the first Plando tournament, that was a favorite item placement, was putting the hook shot in that first chest.
I don't know if the bonk that Mr. DNA did has been a recent discovery, but I sure have been seeing it a lot more often recently. There's our powder. Speaking of fetch quests. All right. And we found a rather large amount of keys early in Palace of Darkness, actually. Larger than usual. Because we had 3 going into the front door there.
Yeah, you're guaranteed 3 out of the first, however many chests that is in the sort of front portion of the dungeon. So Mr. DNA definitely hoping that the vanilla big key chest has 1 more in it, so he'll be able to avoid opening that one.
All right, there's the big key for Mr. DNA. Nice rupee skip. There's that aforementioned small key and a heart container.
Thank you. Wall Kicks in chat is correcting me. I guaranteed 4 small keys in the front part of pod there. So yeah, I guess he did know that there was 1 more in the vanilla big key chest, and he did not have to open that one. I think he could have done the same with the hallway here as well.
Yeah. He looked like he was gonna skip it, and then thought about it, doubled back, and then found a small key and got really really angry. Because he did give the Harmer's Hellway chest a little bit of a slash there. Gonna have to be careful here. 2 hearts left, and these guys like to sneak up on you. There's Arcana Samaria.
That's pretty good. You can't really use that until he gets the mitts at the very least, and then the flute as well for Misery Mire, but definitely a good find.
Well, I mean, depending on what is in, well, he still needs the Titan's mitts, yes, but Turtle Rock could be open to us as well. Yes, it would be disgusting without the Fire Rod, but again, as came up in the last race, it is certainly possible, if statistically improbable, that you can get pretty deep into Turtle Rock, there we go, without that Fire Rod.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite is when Fire Rod is deep in Turtle Rock, and then there's something in the Fire Rod locked room back at the front.
Oof. Tracker calling for Fire Rod in Mire or the Mire. Or not Tracker, Restreamer, excuse me. Alright. While we look at this cutscene play for Mr. DNA and Anglhz catch up with checks we've already seen, don't forget, you are watching this race on the Go Mode Podcast Twitch. If you're liking the content, feel free to follow us here on Twitch, maybe even subscribe on Twitch with that Twitch Prime sub. But, check out the podcast at gomodepodcast.com or your podcast distribution method of choice. There's the Discord as well. And don't forget to give our runners a follow and our Restream team members a follow, including our Restreamer Amaranth Alterna, who works very hard behind the scenes to make sure these things run smoothly, our checker iBot02, and of course there's our commentators, myself and Cool Papa Bell.
I was going to say, I'm the lazy one in this group because the 3 of you are on your second race of the day, and I know Amaranth is going to restream 1 more after this one, so thanks to all of you guys.
Well, hey, Yes, we do a lot of restreams, but it wouldn't be possible without the players allowing us to restream their matches. So, and running the matches for us to have something to restream. Mr. DNA makes quick work of the 17 hammer shots and the 2 pokes with the gold sword to take out Helmazar King. Gets his first 5/6 crystal and second crystal overall.
Shoutouts also to that one bomb that Anglhz threw in the upper paradox room that killed 2 mini Moldorms and hit the switch for him. Very nicely done there.
Yep. All right, so now we get to see the mirror and the back-to-back pod Eastern Palace play for Mr. DNA.
And Angl's going to give us a couple new checks in Super Bunny and that first chest of Hookshot Cave right after it.
All right, let's see what we got. It's going to be bombs. That's going to be a little piece of love. All right, gonna get the information here. We need, I think that was Bombos.
Yeah, I did not catch that one at all, so.
Double checking to confirm. Yeah, that can only be Bombos. That looked a little bit too curvy to be Ether.
And a big 20 in that first chest of Hookshot Cave, which is very good news for Mr. DNA. It means those mitts not really paying any dividends yet for Anglhz. But we do have a pretty big question standing of when Mr. DNA is going to get back to Skull Woods for those second lift upgrades.
Yep. Well, to be fair, he's not going to have a lot of... Why? Why did you put that sentence out into the world, Amarith? Oh my god. Moving ever so swiftly on. Please save us from ourselves, Anglhz. Please be something in Spike Cave. Nope, little piece of love.
I believe you were trying to say that Mr. DNA is sort of running out of other stuff to do.
Correct.
So I think the worst thing he could find on Armos would be Hookshot, because then that would bait him into doing Swamp Palace right away, which would definitely lead him away from those mitts.
Yep. Could also... no, he couldn't. Never mind. I was about to say, could also theoretically find Flute, but all that really opens up is Mire Shed and Checkerboard. Looks like Anglhz is going to be following Mr. DNA's footsteps and doing the pod Eastern back-to-back.
Yep, and I suspect we'll see Mr. DNA head back to Desert, would be my guess, because that is the second 5/6 crystal. So that's going to open up those 2 checks at the Pyramid Ferry as well. But yeah, after that, it'll pretty much be down to heading back into Skull Woods, would be my guess.
Yep.
And at that point, Mr. DNA won't really be wasting any time, right? Like, if you're finishing crystals, you can't really complain about that too much.
Ice Palace will probably be Anglhz next play. Mr. DNA can't make that play until he finds his Titans. Oop. Anglhz having a little bit of trouble with the red Igor, or red Mimic there. Quick kill on the Armos Knights.
That's pretty textbook for Mr. DNA there. Very nicely done.
That is also the 300 rupee drop there. That is finally going to put Mr. DNA at above the 500 threshold. And I don't believe Mr. DNA has done catfish either.
Yeah, so routing-wise, that would actually work out really nicely. If he goes to desert right now, then he could do Pyramid Ferry into Catfish and then mirror back to Zora all in one. I believe he's also got Cave 45 and Bombo's tablet available to him, since he didn't have the mirror the last time he was in this part of the world.
All right. Sorry, some behind-the-scenes stuff going on here. There we go. All right, so Cave 45.
Yeah, can't really blame Mr. DNA for sort of clearing up all of these overworld checks he's still got floating.
No. Now, what's going to be bad for him, though, is if he decides to, say, do Jeremiah right now.
No mitts, though.
Can't do that. Can't do that without Titans, right? Sorry. He is going to check that shovel, though. And also would not be surprised to see the magic bat, either. Just digging up the bombs. No big deal.
I feel like there should be some sort of regulations about where you can just leave explosives lying around, but apparently Hyrule not into that sort of thing.
Nope. I mean, hey, they don't even have guardrails at the top of their massive evil pig towers, so just put your bombs out in the backyard. Why not? All right, Bombos. Heart container. I think we already knew that, though.
I mean, Kuki knows OSHA is one thing, but this is like Star Wars levels of lack of guardrails.
All right. Little known fact, the Death Star and Gan's Tower shared the same architect. All right, so Mr. DNA going into Eastern here. Or, not Eastern, Desert, excuse me.
So you're saying in glitched modes, you just clip into GT through a thermal exhaust port? Is that what we're saying?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right, so heading on back to clear out Landless here and open up that Pyramid Ferry. Anglhz still making his way back to Helmusar King himself.
And I think Mr. DNA is going to feel a little bit better. We talked about it was like 40 minutes to the first crystal, but he's gotten 4 in the last 25 minutes, so that's a much better.
Yep. Yeah, going from 1 at 50 to 4 at, or excuse me, you know what I meant. 1 at 40 to going to be having 4 total at probably about 105. Yeah, no, that's definitely picking up the pace a bit. That gold sword should make quick work of this Landless 1 fight, especially because you don't have to worry about the fireballs coming at you. Hip. Ho! The last Landless with the jukes. There we go. More bombs. And a crystal. So that's going to be Pyramid Fairy open. And this is kind of getting into dangerous territory for Mr. DNA now because, you know, if he does find that hook shot, it's going to be a while before he goes back to Skull, as already mentioned. But there's honestly not a whole lot else that can open up additional checks for him at this point. So we're honestly just kind of hoping that that there isn't that hook shot in this Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think this is literally all that Mr. DNA has left. He's got Pyramid Fairy up to Catfish and Zora, and then it's starting to dip Pendant Dungeons. I guess Magic Bat as well, right?
Yes. Amarith, our restreamer, pointing out, this could, unless Hookshot leads directly to Fire Rod, in which case that's a net victory for Mr. DNA. Because that would also point him back in the direction of Skull Woods. But it would also point him in the direction of Turtle Rock, because he would have both rods and the medallion and the he would be able to full clear it. Except no, he wouldn't, because Titans.
Yeah, that's actually, I feel like, the upside of when you're getting trolled by such a hugely important item like Hammer or Mitts, is that there's just so much of the game you can't do without it that it really narrows down where it could be.
Oh, that is not possible because Swamp Palace is a pendant. Good try though, chat. Good try.
Also, I believe Ped was pocket change that we checked in about 7.5 minutes, weirdly.
You also correct. All right, so Mr. DNA going to be doing the Catfish into Zora here. Anglhz having a little bit of issue with the skeleton. There we go. Who doesn't have issues with their skeleton every once in a while?
Especially after I turned 35.
Something to look forward to in 3.5 years for me. Anyway, Catfish. Big 20.
Get off my lawn, you darn kids. I don't know what to say to that.
I mean, I've been saying that to people constantly on the internet because, you know, I feel like even 31 is kind of where you're like, oh my goodness, I am old for the internet nowadays. But then again, we're sitting here playing, commentating on a randomized version of a game that came out right around the time we were born, so...
Yeah, there's a bunch of old people around here. It makes me feel good.
Yeah. Red Goo, as we knew, from the King of Scams. Anglhz picks up his crystal from Armos Knights. And now it's just kind of a race to see if Anglhz finds that hook shot before Mr. DNA heads back to Skull Woods. Is Mr. DNA making the hookless swamp play here?
It feels like it.
Oh dear. Oh no.
I mean, so let's see, how many checks have we got? Like 5 or 6 in Swamp as opposed to 3 items in Skull Woods? I think he's just looking at those numbers and deciding to make the Swamp dip.
Yeah, it's 2 items in Skull Woods, but yes. Yeah, it's that tips the math even more in favor of Swamp. Cookie just naming things on pedestal, and like as mentioned, we already know it's just pocket cash. Move right along. So 4 items max.
Yes.
Chat is confirming here.
This is one of the things about Rando that makes it so fascinating to watch is, you know, if Mr. DNA finds something great in Swamp here, like finds the hook shot or the flute, then actually those mitts that Anglhz found that seemed like such an advantage are actually pulling him away from this. So you just never quite know what's going to happen in a randomizer race.
Yep.
Because so far, all Anglhz has done with the mitts is make a couple of extra checks on Death Mountain that didn't lead to anything. So they've actually slowed him down a little bit so far. Of course, he's got them and will need them to finish the siege sooner or later.
Yep. So he's going to go ahead and start doing the Smith's loop here, the Smith's chain. Wallkick's also pointing out Mr. DNA could very well find the Meyer medallion, which we still do not know the identity of. There's a 66% chance that we... Oh, there's the fire rod and hammer pegs.
That's a good find.
Yes. Yes, it is. And yes, I'm calling it hammer pegs and not that other thing. Don't you even think about it.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Keep it that way.
That was quite the moment, but we'll leave that in the past, I think. So yeah, that fire rod's a little unfortunate of a placement for Mr. DNA, because one of the things that would lead you back to Skull Woods is you find the fire rod, but he's obviously not going to do that without.
All right. All right, and oddly enough, Anglhz is going to be the first one to check Mad Batter here. And Mad Batter just like, hey, you found me, have $300. All right, Mr. DNA flipping the switch. It looks like he's going to do left side swamp here. I mean, makes sense because, you know, he can't get to the back of swamp because no hook shot. If my brain would fully engage while I'm trying to commentate, that'd be great.
I mean, it's hard to think and talk at the same time, to be fair. So...
All right, now we're going to see what Gary has to offer for bringing him his lunchbox. Oh, there's the flute. Left side swamp of our flute. Hello. That's a little bit on the big side.
That's a huge payoff for Mr. DNA.
And I have a gut feeling it's about to get huger. Because that would be absolutely filthy. I am incorrect, as usual. All right, so that's gonna dry up that particular lead. All right. Mirror save and quit to be able to go to I would guess Sanctuary. I am kind of surprised that he didn't just flute from there instead of doing a save and quit. Oh wait, you have to activate it first. Genius.
You're about 4 hours into commentating at this point, so it's okay.
Yeah, on a little bit of interrupted sleep because I stayed up and watched a bit of the Awful Block last night, / this morning. So Honestly, the fact that I'm able to even speak coherent English at all is probably nothing short of a minor miracle. Regardless,
Chat going easy on the commentators as always.
yeah. All right. So at 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 30 seconds, the goose is loose, the duck is amuck, the mallard is empowered. You didn't quite hear the Hyrulean national anthem because the audio was on Anglhz' side, but, you know. And it looks like Mr. DNA is going to do the needful and head back. Well, at the very least, he's going to go into the Dark World here, but I would assume he's going to head into Skull Woods at this point. Because honestly, there's not really a whole lot much else he could do up here. So that's going to get him his Titans. And then hopefully the next thing he does is the Smith's Loop.
Yeah, Anglhz meanwhile just missing that last fire rod shot to get the one cycle Landmo fight, but very nicely done there to collect his fifth crystal. Fourth crystal, sorry, the tracker was a little ahead of me there and already had Desert Palace marked.
Aha. Oh, Nobly making a good point. Once Mr. DNA finds those Titans, he has access to the Mire area. So that might look a bit more enticing than going to do Smith's. Mr. DNA is about to do the pedestal check that he did not do earlier, and he is going to be incredibly disappointed with what he sees, or relieved, one of the two. Actually, why not both?
Yeah, I was going to say, this way he at least probably won't feel like he has to finish Skull Woods. And yeah, is going to choose to clear out the front first.
All right, so just a question of getting those Titans. Now for Mr. DNA, and then he can proceed to hopefully do Smiths, but as chat pointed out, Mire is going to look enticing to him, so gonna kind of become a question of if Anglhz finds that hook shot first now. Although Anglhz is going to have to go into Swamp regardless. But do you think Anglhz manages to make that play before he finds the hook shot?
Yeah, and I mean, he's still got Ice Palace that he can full clear at this point, which is probably a lot more appealing than Pendant Swamp, hook-shotless Pendant Swamp, that is.
And I would like to point out that there is every possibility that hook shot is in ice. So
yeah, absolutely. Also, I have to acknowledge chat correctly calling me out as well. It would have been really hard for Mr. DNA to do the back of Skull Woods without the fire rod.
yes,
So yeah,
that's also a thing.
and I got plenty of sleep last night.
Well, I mean, I've been joking about staying up for Alpha Block. I actually, in reality, fell asleep partially through it. I probably got like maybe about 4 or 5 hours of sleep last night. Technically speaking, that's a lot of bees Anglhz just released. Meanwhile, Mr. DNA is indeed going to the Mire area. I did not happen to catch on the live view if we saw what the medallion requirement was. Looks like we did not.
Yeah, I'm not sure he actually looked at it just yet, so.
So, still has not seen it, I don't believe. I mean, you're going to need to know that information at some point because it is a crystal. That's bombs on checkerboard. Going back over there, buddy? All right, cool. All right, that's Bombos to access Meyer. So Meyer fully clearable means we're heading in there.
And the tables have definitely turned. A few minutes ago, we were talking about when Mr. DNA was going to find his mitts. Now it's a question of when Anglhz is going to decide to dip Swamp to find that flute.
Yep. So we're going to have a bit of a pause here in a moment to resynchronize the runners, so please stand by. Looks like Mr. DNA having a little bit of issue with this room, but honestly, who doesn't on occasion?
Yep, I officially hate this room, as many people do, I'm sure.
Chat correctly pointing out that we kind of skipped out on Tower of Hera. We still have 2 items in Tower of Hera itself, plus the green pendant. That would be filthy and disgusting, but it is entirely a possibility.
That's pretty much what I've come to expect from randomizers, so why not? Mr. DNA found 50 rupees in that first chest in Myers, so half the items gone already.
I mean, it can't be Gan's Tower because we kind of need that hook shot for... Actually, wait, no, yeah, we don't need the... The only thing we need the hook shot for is the hover. That's right.
Yeah, the Dark Magician's room on the left side is hookshot locked, and everything after the at the Fire Snake room and beyond is hookshot locked on the left side.
Yeah. So we could theoretically only need the hook shot for the hover. Granted, that's a lot of conditionals, but oh, Mr. DNA forgot to hit the switch. That's gonna be a big oof for me. Might have to relight the flames here. Yep. That never feels good. This is one of the few rooms where you really have a pretty generous timer on the flames, and to have to redo it cannot feel good at all, especially when it's for a vanilla compass. Or at least I'm pretty sure that's a vanilla compass.
And
Chat discussing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Anglhz is committing to this Turtle Rock play. Again, makes sense if you want to always be clearing crystals. You can't really argue with this play, especially given as many items as there are in here.
All right, there's the big key. Mr. DNA is going to go ahead and check the cutscene room here. Interesting. I mean, yes, we are still looking for items for go mode, but I feel like you'd be better served going towards Vitreous at this point, and then coming back in here if it does happen to be in here.
Yeah, I think since he found the big key, you can go to the right side, grab the big chest, and then that other small chest over there, and then go right to Vitreous from there, and just hope you don't have to do this cutscene. I agree with you.
Anyway, what I was just saying before you decided to, do your job and commentate on the race instead of pointing out random stuff in chat like I was going to do. Chat discussing strategies on how best to troll Andy in the crowd control race on Saturday. Or it's not a race; it's an exhibition, but Yeah, Chad also concurring that you would really want to do right side of Meyer before even contemplating going to the cutscene chest.
Of course, Mr. DNA did find the second item in that chest, so where are you going, friend? There, lost count of the items apparently, because he doesn't really have to do these two checks over here.
Might be looking for the ferry. Well, okay. He's gonna play out the line here.
I'm always entertained by the fact that to get into Meyer, you need either boots or the hook shot, and to make it to the big chest past the collapsing bridge, you need either the boots or the hook shot. I've always wondered if that was intentional.
I don't think the boots were, I want to say. Because, well, but because the thing is, the only way to get to the hospitality room is a bonk, though, isn't it? In Gunsour?
Yeah, that's why bonks have sort of been in Logic for a while, is because of that room.
Chad also correctly pointing out that there are plenty of other ferries back in the back portion of Misery Mire here that Mr. DNA doesn't really have to go too far out of his way to get. So, did that actually hit? I'm not quite sure. It did. Okay.
Yeah, I think he just lost count of the items, unfortunately.
Nobly, we are referring to the hospitality room at the end of the cannonball room in Gan's Tower. I will point it out when we get there, because we will be seeing that, because this is not a fast cannon. All right, Mimic Cave upcoming for Anglhz here. Still no sign of that hook shot. Oh, nomenclature confusing nobly. He calls it the safety room, which is also technically correct. I just heard it called the hospitality once and kind of latched onto it. Alrighty. Mr. DNA receiving his crystal from Misery Mire for a pretty darn decent Vitreous fight.
Yeah, Cape Dash strats went very quickly there, so nicely done.
And especially with Gold Sword, I mean, kind of a freebie there. Alright, Anglhz thinking about it. There we go. Now latch on to Spike Cafe. No. Alright, Mr. DNA gonna do the Ice Palace dive here now. Is eventually going to have to go. So this might come back down to, does Anglhz find the hook shot before Mr. DNA thinks to go do hammer pegs for the fire rod?
Yeah, this is one of those tough decisions of, is Mr. DNA going to clear out the Smith's Chain and some other overworld stuff before sort of YOLOing the fire rod and heading up to Turtle Rock? It's always a tough call to make.
All right, one key left for Anglhz here, showing off some pretty decent grasp of the laser skips here. Is not going to take the safety, but then again, half magic, 3 bottles, blue mail, final destination. Wait, what? Oh, Digidude also correctly pointing out Anglhz does need to go find that flute on the left side of Swamp, because that was disgusting enough that I blocked it out of my memory entirely. Oop. Okay.
Yeah, Bomb still got the floor there. Not quite ideal, but it worked.
Yeah.
Anglhz forgetting he had Butter Sword there and got stuck with the ice rod in his hand when the first head died.
Yep. I always kind of have to mentally remind myself that it's 3, not 4 for the Butter Sword. Because that's what always seems to get me is I'll go into it thinking 4, and then like at some point my brain will go, wait a minute, no, that's not right. Recovers quickly, kills Trinex. Meanwhile, Mr. DNA bowls a strike, nicely done. Wow. Chat just being evil now. Oh, we did find an unrequired baking coin. AKA Quake Medallion, AKA Quack Coin, AKA Honk, because I've made that joke already today.
You can never have too many honks.
Just ask AGDQ.
Meanwhile, Anglhz is going to make this play into Tower of Hera, so he's running out of checks to make as well. Interesting that he's doing this before Ice Palace, which he could full clear at this point. But probably just deciding he does not want to have to climb Death Mountain again under any circumstances except going to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah. Did not realize he'd missed the pot throw, so threw a bomb to go do the coffee break, realized the switch was in the wrong position, and threw another bomb. Does hit the coffee break, though. Nicely done. We could be hookshot locked in Ice Rod or Ice Palace here. Looks like we are indeed hookshot locked.
Yeah, so we know Mr. DNA doesn't actually have to do this right-hand side, but he's also still looking for the fire rod, so he's going to go ahead and bomb jump.
All right, meanwhile, Anglhz picking up his big key from the Tower of Hera basement. Chat correcting our restreamer saying that Mr. DNA had 3 small keys, so may not be hookshot locked. Oh, Anglhz misses the wall hug there and takes a fall. Rip.
Yeah, it's unlucky. I freely admit that I can never keep Ice Palace key logic straight, so I'll defer to chat.
Amarith defending his case. And Wall Kicks deferring to our restreamer. That is a big 20 right there. All right, so 3 checks left, 2 items left in Tower of Hera. There's one the map. So the big chest and Moldorm are going to be holding on to the dungeon, to the 2 items in Tower of Hera itself. Reminder that Tower of Hera is this seed's green pendant, so it is going to open up an item on Sahasola. All right. Mr. DNA making his way down to Cold Stare.
And with Butter Sword, this should be a pretty quick fight.
Yeah, Butter Sword, Bombos. Well, I mean, Bombos makes this fight possible because he doesn't have the fire rod. Butter Sword, Bombos, half magic, which again doesn't matter because no fire rod.
pretty sure the Bombos animation took more time than the rest of that cold stare fight.
Yep. All right, compass off of cold stare. So Anglhz gets the big key. Only 40 rupees worth of, or green pendant, excuse me. Only 40 rupees worth of items in Tower of Hera. So now the question is, what's on that green pendant?
And we are not going to find out just yet because Anglhz is going to head into Ice Palace.
So, okay, Mr. DNA. Trying to get the spin speed. Okay. Bomb refill. Okay.
Never hurts to have a few extra bombs while you're right there.
True, I suppose. All right, Mr. DNA, I think, is going to make the Tower of Hera play as well, which is unfortunate for him because we already know this is a dud. Or he's going to make a liar out of me and do the Turtle Rock play, which, again, unfortunate for him because we already know that it is a dud.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate double dip that's going to happen. I was not paying enough attention to the small key layout to know how long it's going to be before he gets Fire Rod locked out of Turtle Rock.
Same. Yeah, DNA needs to remember that hammer pegs and, well, I mean, yes, specifically hammer pegs, but generically speaking, the Smith loop exists. Because that's actually going to put him in crystal completion mode. It's looking increasingly likely that Gatton's Tower, that hookshot is in Gatton's Tower, which is gross.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else we have left. I think we saw both items in Skull Woods. The green pennant is still out there since Anglhz hasn't turned that in yet. But we've seen like Spike Cave and Catfish. We know Ped is nothing, and Mr. DNA locked out of Turtle Rock immediately. That's actually pretty good for him.
I will say I seem to remember making a comment to the effect of Anglhz doing the bomb jump to get nothing in Skull Woods. So that would suggest that we have found both items. But then again, nothing could have just as easily applied to a dungeon item like the compass. Or the map. Anglhz bowls the strike as well. Mr. DNA gonna check the first chest of hookshot, which actually, did we see Anglhz check this?
Yes, I believe it's a big 20.
Yep. All right, looks like we're gonna see the Tower of Hera play now from Mr. DNA.
Yeah, he can loop in Spike Cave at the same time because I believe he's still got that hanging out.
Anyway. Mr. DNA deciding to keep his fingers loose and limber and not take the coffee break here.
If you can dodge a crap load of tiles, you can dodge a ball.
Wall kicks, about the only thing we can come up with is the green pendant that Anglhz is currently holding on to, and Mr. DNA will soon have as well.
Yeah, I'm just racking my brain to see if there's anything else.
Oro is pointing out that if they're paying attention to key logic, he believes that GT cannot have hookshot since Ice Palace is hookshot locked. So the question now is, did we only see one actual item, that being the Titan's Mitts in Skull Woods? My brain is telling me that we have, but I could be incorrect. So if that hookshot is on green pendant, that's going to put Anglhz back in control here, because he will have the fire rod and be able to go mode. And in fact, go directly to Ganon's. Well, no, because he'll have to do Mystery Mire. Because he has not done that yet.
So let's think through this Ice Palace logic while our runners are sort of going over old stuff, right? So they found the big key, which means you could have gotten downstairs to spend a key the way the vanilla game wants you to on the switch room at the very bottom, right outside of Cold Stare. Right, so you would need another small key to be able to get to the right side. I'm trying to think if there's any way you could lock yourself out of being able to get to Cold Stare without having to bomb jump the way this.
I've never been good at trying to decipher the key logic, so I'm gonna be less than zero help to you here. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm not doing a very good job of it at this point anyway, just because you get used to the way you do Ice Palace in Rando, and then, you know, you have no idea how you're actually supposed to do it according to the devs.
Yeah. All right, so Mr. DNA now has that green pendant. It's gonna do the Spike Cave check. Alrighty. Mr. DNA receives his nothing from Spike Cave. Anglhz annihilates Cold Stare.
And we will see where he goes next, because this is the big question for him. Now that he has run out of crystals that he can do, does he head into Swamp right away? It's certainly the closest dungeon to where he is right now. And if Skull Woods is empty at this point, that is about all he has left to do is this hookshotless swamp dip.
Crystal Pyramid Ledge had 300 rupees. Mushroom was nothing. I also want to point out that Anglhz can do Misery Mire.
Not without the flute, he can't.
Oh, that's a good point. Sorry. Double checking to make sure he got all the items out of the back. That's... Oh, what? Oh my god. It's either we miscounted and missed something in Skull Woods, or it's in Ganon's Tower. Oh.
So, I guess that answers the question of whether Cold Stare is hookshot locked.
Our restreamer is gonna go check the tape. Mr. DNA, meanwhile, is gonna go to Dark World here. He looked like he was gonna go try and get Jeremiah, but then realized he needed to be in Dark World for that. So Mr. DNA might be about to find his fire rod.
Yeah, so we're gonna see the Smith's Chain. Meanwhile, Anglhz is heading toward the Swamp Dark World portal. So, uh, left side of Swamp incoming, and his flute is on the way.
Yeah. So this is going to boil down to, does Mr. DNA go into Skull Woods and see if he missed an item, or does he go? Well, he's going to go to Turtle Rock. That's not even a question. Duh. He's going to clear Turtle Rock. Then the question becomes, does Mr. DNA YOLO it from Turtle Rock and go into Gan's Tower and hope he finds Hookshot there?
Yeah, and I think the answer is most assuredly yes. The question is just, does he keep looking for the hook shot first, or ditch Jeremiah and go straight to Turtle Rock?
2 keys. Oh, there's still an item remaining in Skull Woods. Has Mothula been hoarding the hook shot to himself this entire time?
Wow, that would be a seed.
Hoo hoo hoo, lads! Dwarven Bombsmiths, by the way. I think we already knew that, but...
Looks like the YOLO is on.
Alright.
Can't be sure if this is the right play, but you gotta respect it.
Whoo,
Just,
lads!
full speed ahead.
Wall kicks saying Mothula cannot have a small key or something that leads to a small key, and there are 3 small keys in Skull Woods. So Wall kicks saying item is on Mothula, whatever that item might be. So this is going to be an interesting call for Mr. DNA here. He's going to do Turtle Rock. He'll have all 7 crystals, but does he go to Ganon's Tower and hope he finds Hookshot in Ganon's Tower? Or does he try and fish it out of the remaining items in the rest of the world? That's
Yeah, I mean,
filthy.
the rest of the world being Skull Woods at this point, so...
This is filthy and wrong.
Yeah, this is just a nightmare scenario to be in, because you just feel like no matter what decision you make, it's gonna be wrong. But percentage-wise, I think you have to do GT after this. Mr. DNA pulling off the hardest strat in the game, by the way, and remembering he doesn't have hookshot for this room.
Could they hover boots Moldorm 2?
In theory, yes, you absolutely can hover Moldorm 2, but I don't know if any of these runners are
neither runner has
consistent enough hover.
Yeah, neither runner has shown a proclivity to hover, and I feel like I feel like Mr. DNA would have at least attempted it when he went into Hookshot Cave trying to dig something out. But, and for that matter, Anglhz, same thing.
Yeah, because they were both in Hookshot Cave with boots and looking for an item that wasn't hookshot, and neither one of them tried to hover.
Mercer also saying maybe one of them knows how to do the Moldorm bounce.
Honestly, at this point, I feel like that's more impressive than hovering, because that's just sheer black magic, as I understand.
Alright. Anglhz cannot hover, Nobly is confirming. Rage slashes for the flute chest. Ooh, wait a minute. Wait just a cotton picking minute here. Mr. DNA never went and checked this right chest, did he?
Oh no, he definitely did. Heart piece, I think.
Okay. Oh, yep. Okay, yep, heart piece. Cool. Oh yeah, no, I remember that now. The seat has broken me. I even yeah, I remember that now because I was like, oh yeah, I feel like this is gonna turn into an even bigger thing, and then it was just a piece, and I immediately called being wrong. So, whoopsies.
I feel like if there's any seed that's going to break you, it's this one. This hookshot hunt has been ludicrous.
All right. So Anglhz running back to Kakariko. Oh wait, because he just got the flute. Oh my god. Everybody, please rise for the Hyrulean national anthem and have a moment of silence for my ability to think. It was a full heart container DC. So look, I'm like I am like 3.5 hours into doing commentary on Rando, on like 6 hours of sleep that was broken up by loud noises from the Alpha Block because I fell asleep watching it. So deal with it. Lumaga, could you mod me so I can start purging people, please? Thank you.
Wes is sleep deprived and drunk on coffee.
Oh god. I did the thing and that. So it turns out when you type the thing I just typed into chat, that actually just straight up toggles dark mode instead of just only turning it on. So everybody press F for my retinas because I just went into light mode on Twitch. Thank you. I appreciate it. There we go. Oh god. No. Turn back on. Stop burning my retinas. God bless America. It's like a bad strobe light effect. Ah! Mistakes were made.
All right, Mr. DNA is about to get the bad news about the hookshot not being on Laser Bridge.
My eyes. Retina searing solidarity. Yes. But yeah, way back in ye olden times when they first introduced dark mode as a thing, because it wasn't a thing from launch on Twitch, the only way to activate it was to actually do that combination in chat. Like it wasn't like a settings toggle in your menu. You had to go into somebody's stream and type that. And that has been your.
Did you have to
Go ahead.
type it uphill both ways?
In the snow, absolutely. Get off my lawn. Even though you're older than me, get off my lawn.
And we've come full circle.
And scene.
I think the seed has broken all of us at this point. I guess since Mr. DNA is about to get his 7th crystal, we should talk about this GT Big guessing game.
You guys are probably gonna have a lot of time to get your guesses in. I'll go ahead and I mean, no, well, our restreamer usually handles starting it, so I guess we'll wait for how we want to handle that. Do we guess for the key or the hook shot? Good question.
Yeah,
All right.
our game is also a little bit off because although there are 22 locations in the GT basement where the big key could be, not all of them are in logic right now without that hook shot. So we'll see.
All right. All right. Oh, Wall Kick's calling it for it to be on chest number 3, which means they could theoretically climb without the hook shot and get all the way to Moldorm 2 and go, wait a minute. All right. Here we go. Mr. DNA YOLOing it and hoping that that hook shot isn't, well, I mean, it is needed for the Moldorm 2 gap, but bombs chest 1. Bombs chest 2. We might have to put this on hold while we go find hookshot, which would be hilarious.
Yeah, he's going to go to the left side. I feel like I would do full right given the possibility of finding a hook shot to open up some more of the left side for you, but he's going to follow his usual
I mean, the only
route.
thing you can do here, though. Wait, you can't. Ooh, this is gonna get messy. Because you can't really get too far without either super precise bomb jumps or that hook shot.
Yeah, so Mr. DNA realizing that he does not have a whole lot to do on that left side logically. You can bonk through there and get to the map room, the double fire bar room down there. But yeah, I think certainly more checks on the right side, and we'll see if he decides to do tile room on the first way through, which is not so crazy given where we are right now.
Nope, just decides to yeet on past it. We've seen 3 chests so far, so the next chest opened will be 4. This is absolute insanity.
Oh, good point in chat. He did not have a small key to do the right side right away, so he stole the one from the left.
All right, so chest number 4 incoming. Nice fire rod shot. Nice cane of Samaria. Nice cane of Samaria again. Chest number 4, piece of heart. Chest number 5, big key.
Oh my goodness.
Our tracker got it again. Tracker won the gift bad sour big key game 2 games in a row. I bought you've won another lifetime supply of seeds. You know how to redeem it. You know about going to a wiki if your standard seed lasts longer than 4 hours.
Oh my goodness, what is happening to this seed? All right, this is
bonks incoming. Okay.
good. Very nice. Nicely done. Oh, is he gonna...
Nope. Incorrect. Wrong.
Yeah, you definitely don't go into DM's room under any circumstances now, because the hook shot definitely cannot be theirs.
Did you ask if I'm going insane? That's a rather short drive, my friend.
I was gonna say long gone personally, but
oh god. All right. Oh no. Just another bottle on that room. We can't get anywhere else.
I mean, the bomb jump to get through here is a little bit easier. I feel like in Mr. DNA's shoes, he probably should have gone all the way through to Ice Armos from the right side. Because this is a standard bomb jump. This one is not really tricky, but it looks like he's not ready to do that one.
Logically not available.
Yeah, but
Mr.
it would
DNA
be
gonna YOLO it and hope maybe hook shots in the last 4 chests, or like just spontaneously bust out a hover or the Moldorm bounce.
Yeah. So yeah, those extra chests on the left side would have been hookshot locked, but Ice Armos is not, and most importantly, the Ganon's Tower big chest is not. So, yeah, those
Also,
were.
good point. He didn't check tile room. Spicy.
So yeah, in as someone in chat said a couple minutes ago, at this point both of our runners feel like they're so far behind and are just waiting for the dot done. So I'm not surprised to see a lot of YOLO plays at this point in the race.
Oh snap! Anglhz looks like he's following in Mr. DNA's footsteps. Just gonna go Ganon's Tower. Oh lads. Whew.
So 3 chests left in the climb where Mr. DNA is really hoping that hookshot is.
Mr. DNA. Oop, that's not. Yeah, there we go. Mr. DNA did that cannonball run with 1 heart and no safety, by the way. GG's. That is what I called the hospitality room earlier, for those that were still curious. That you just saw Mr. DNA get into with that with those 2 fairies, and plus there is a bottle you can throw for a full magic decanter. Skull, there we go. Words.
I think Mr. DNA actually did have a safety because I think that firebar room was a fairy in a bottle, so he does have that at the very least.
He did have the fairy, yes. Mr. DNA climbing the gauntlet without the hook shot, just hoping and praying that that the hook shot is in one of the last 4 chests remaining, I guess, or 3, because one of those last 4 in the top is Moldorm's last possession, which you need to cross that gap to be able to get. Oh my goodness gracious.
So I think Anglhz is going to do the same thing, going to steal this key and then probably go full right. We'll see if he goes all the way to Ice Armos or not.
Yeah. So let's see here. Anglhz trying to bomb jump here. Not having too much luck.
Yeah, I'm not sure about even attempting that bomb jump because so he's looking for the big key in Dark Magician's room, but if the big key is there, that means you're going to find the hookshot on the right side, which you need to look for anyway. So
all right. So Mr. DNA has reached the torch puzzle here. This is dumb. This is so
absurd.
This is so dumb. Meanwhile, it looks like Anglhz is thinking about it. Powder, cape equipped, cape glitch, tile room check, incoming.
A moment of truth for Mr. DNA, just about. Got 2 chests in here.
10 bombs. Grab that key, you're gonna need it. Map. There's 1 check left.
Oh my gosh, if he craps out here in mirrors, they could wind up at Ice Armos at the exact same time.
10 arrows. It's not here. Oh, Mr. DNA is gonna kill Moldorm too. Are we about to see a hover? Are we gonna see a hover? Oh my god.
Mr. DNA is just reciting, I believe in the heart of the hover.
He's warming it up. Oh, tried to dashed instead. Whoops. Oh no. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Oh, and Moldorm 2 exacts it. And Mr. DNA's like, forget this. I mean, he go find that hook shot. He's got the mirror out. He's out.
Oh my goodness. Oh, is he looking for Mothula?
Yeah, I think he's heading into realizing that he's got something left in Skull Woods. Either that or he's about to go on the world tour of, okay, what did I miss?
Anglhz, meanwhile, might be headed back to Ice Armos as Mr. DNA checking Skull Woods from the looks of things.
All right. Oh, man alive. Whew.
Ooh, okay, so Mac and X. I'll be straight up. I don't understand Ice Palace key logic. There's no way I understand GT key logic, so.
Well, I mean, case in point, you almost never see this room in Randomizer, and yet here we are. You almost see. Oh wait, Mr. DNA hasn't finished. This is the seed that never ends, my friends.
Yeah, because Mr. DNA just jumped right out of the Smith's chain and all the checks sort of along the way as soon as he found that fire rod.
Amarith, I actually saw it and commented on it earlier. Mr. DNA saw it. It is 50 rupees. All right, Anglhz now doing Ice Armos without hookshot. Oh my goodness gracious. Mr. DNA about to go receive his bombs from Gary. Speaking of bombs, there's Ether. 20 rupees, it's not in Gen's Tower, it's on Boptila. Oh no. Wait, what? Anglhz making the climb too, and he skipped the Ganon's Tower big chest. Oh no!
I'm just at a complete loss for words. I've totally lost control of everything at this point.
Why are we still in this seat at 2 hours and 6 minutes in? Because we've lost control of our life. Oh god. DNA has not done Ice Armos. Dark Cross was not anything. What is this Clown Fiesta? Same. Oh no.
No one understands key logic. Anglhz didn't check the map room, which is in logic. It's just all insane.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Whew, alright, DNA. Skull Woods. Coming Mothula doesn't have it. Well, I mean, it can't be in swamp. We've checked all the swamp. Mr. DNA taking a death warp, but he has that fairy.
Oh my goodness. Anglhz bomb jumping out of the safety room instead of just bonking.
The seat has broken everybody involved. Oh no. Whew. This is a thing. Scrub. We do have another race coming up tonight, by the way.
I hope you're going to stay on to commentate that one as well, because I think we all need that in our lives. Oh, Mr. DNA getting wall mastered right before Mothula.
Oh, God bless. Ugh. Okay. Hold on, let me go check the schedule. Am I even going to have any time to recover? I've signed up to track that one. But there was only one commentator signed up, and I said I'll do it if nobody else steps up. And also, it looks like I'm going to have some time to recover because that's at 10:30 Eastern. So
You're assuming this race is going to be done before then.
if they somehow manage to stretch this out for another 3 hours, congratulations. All right, Mothula now. It's either here or it's in the Guidance Tower Big Kiss. Oh no! And we had a rip of frames there for a second, on my end at least.
So by all
Mothula
accounts,
being a troll.
Oh, geez. Just hang it there.
There we go. There it is!
Oh, there it is.
At 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 50 seconds, Mr. DNA is in go mode. And yet he somehow enters go mode after getting the Guidance Tower Big Key.
Oh, my goodness. This is truly incredible. So yes, just for the record, I have finally gotten it through my thick skull what Anglhz is saying. Based on where the keys were, the runners could have taken that first key under the skull pot and wasted it on the middle door in the GT basement, and then gotten absolutely nowhere. So none of that was in logic without the hook shot. So it absolutely had to be on Mothula at that point. Oh my goodness. What a ludicrous seed.
Oh man alive. Wow. Just wow.
So Anglhz about to get the bad news here.
Oh no. Oh, is he gonna? Oh, he thought about it and then realized, nope, that's dumb. Oof. Wow. Oh no, I got it. We've said ludicrous a couple times, and I've immediately gone to I want to say Blackwatch Plaid is the reference there, the continuation of that reference, but whew. Man.
Had Angle not turned in the green pendant yet?
No, he hadn't turned in the green pendant yet.
Oh my goodness.
So he's about to receive even more bad news. Can Silvers be at Moldorm too? I mean, they kind of have to be at this point, almost. Because the only items remaining are in the back of Swamp. Oh, wait, and Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, and some of left side of GT is still just hanging out there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out there again because it was about an hour ago that we said it. If this seed and runners suffering through this seed has not earned them a follow, chat, I don't know what has. So
yeah,
be sure to show the runners some love after slogging their way through this one.
Yep. So here's the runner's command. Here's the commentator's command. Well, I say commentators. It's really the entire Restream team at this point because Anglhz has had to put up with me slowly going insane over the last 3 hours. Our tracker's been doing an amazing job too. And then if you enjoy the insanity of the platform itself, again, check out the podcast, check out the Discord. As Mr. DNA climbs the gauntlet for a second time, as you do. In a totally normal, absolutely no problem whatsoever. 2 hour and 15-minute and counting randomizer seed.
I mean, I know it's good to get as much practice on the gauntlet as you can, but come on.
Doing it in a live tournament race is just ill-advised amounts of swag.
That's commitment to improvement, though.
No, boy, haven't these runners suffered enough? No, calling for the gauntlet deaths. Oh, Mr. DNA's screen froze. Okay, we're back. Crisis averted. If Moldorm has validation silvers, I quit. I am muting my mic and walking away.
I assumed that these Landmo 2s would respawn. I knew that Moldorm did if you fell before you opened the chest, but
Good Wizwarp run.
DNA is going to be so shocked if he finishes this out and wins this race. He is definitely in the driver's seat at this point, but he has zero way of knowing that.
Yep. Oh, man. Wow. There's the hook shot for Anglhz, and just kind of the dejected walk over to the pendant. And now you gotta believe he's just like, okay, all right, we're just gonna make our way up there, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna see a dot done any second now. Granted, Mr. DNA is like you just said, thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, I agree with wall kicks.
Yep.
Can definitely just switch to the mirror and get out of the dungeon without actually picking up the dungeon prize.
Yeah, but again, like I said, at this point, especially 2 hours 16 minutes in almost, and you find that hook shot and know you have to climb all the way up the mountain again, get into Gen's Tower, climb the gauntlet again, you gotta expect at this point that the other runner is a little bit ahead of you. So 15 seconds really isn't gonna help.
So Mr. DNA into the Aga 2 fight. Gets one hit in on that first cycle.
All right. Oh, Mr. DNA. Uh-oh. That's slideshow right there. Is what's going on there. What are the chances that Anglhz picks fast cannon for game 3? I would say somewhere north of yes.
I think if I played through this in a tournament race, I would never play a defeat Ganon Seed again in my entire life.
Meanwhile, the geometry wars have ended. Mr. DNA is heading to the Big Pig. I just now realized that we did not see silvers in the validation chest. I'm not even sure if we saw the validation chest because I was too busy doing something behind the scenes here.
Yeah, full heart for Mr. DNA out of validation.
Whew, okay.
So you're allowed to keep talking.
Sweet. And nobody explodes. Hey-oh! Alright. Anglhz, props hanging in there, climbing the gauntlet. Just on the off chance that something goes horrifically wrong. Restreamer pointing out the issues are on DNA's end. Unfortunate internet issues right at the end of what has been an amazing race. With quite a few roadblocks, and I was going to try and continue making references to the CBS show, reality show, the same name, but I'm just too far gone at this point. I need to make a pit stop after this race is over. There we go. Got him.
So Mr. DNA is through the first two phases of Ganon quickly with that butter sword.
All right. I'm not sure about longest in the tournament. At this point, it is going to be the longest we've seen by about 2 minutes, I think, because we did have that Mercer that Mercer versus Leslie Pro matchup, I believe it was. The other day that went like 2:15.
And dear Lord, the arrows were in the back of swamp.
Oof.
So those were silvers we were never getting.
Big oof.
But Mr. DNA is into the fourth phase, doing well with the silverless fight so far.
Meanwhile, Anglhz has defeated Lanimalist 2, continuing the climb up the tower. Like I said, on the off chance something goes wrong for Mr. DNA here. I say off chance, but honestly, with everything else that has gone horribly, horribly wrong this seed,
Yeah, I mean, you practice the silverless fight so much, but it can just go wrong at any moment. But Mr. DNA gets through.
All right. Has to survive the most dangerous 1x3 bridge in all of Hyrule, which again, given everything else that has gone wrong in this seed, entirely a possibility. Survives it. Mr. DNA finishes in first place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 38 seconds. Sure, go spam those emotes in Wild's chat. Who cares at this point? That ties the series up at 1 game apiece. Oh boy. Anglhz making his way through the torch room. Unfortunately, mistimed it. Gonna have to redo it. That is not really something you want to see at 2 hours and 20 minutes into 21 minutes into this nightmare scenario. As Mr. DNA's credits continue, we are going to pass along a message from Mr. DNA. He is running exceptionally late for dinner. Gee, I can't imagine why. So he will not be joining us for an interview. But he did ask us to pass along a message, and that is in the form of a question. Chat, Mr. DNA wants to pose the hypothetical question. I wonder what Andy's time would have been on this seed.
I was thinking that myself. One of those dirty hoverers would have just blazed through this thing.
Oh, and actually, that's a black screen for Mr. DNA. He might have cut his stream a little bit early. So hopefully he is recording locally and makes a note of that to the admins. All right, restreamer confirming, because obviously the restreamer has had time behind the scenes in the 15-minute delay to square things up. Restreamer confirming all of those things have been done, so no harm, no foul. Because honestly, if you put 2 hours and 20 minutes into this seed and then get the match result invalidated due to a technicality, that's just bad times all around. I actually had that happen in last year's Challenge Cup. The one race I restreamed was actually a nightmare seed, kind of like this one. And one runner forfeit, and the other one cut too early, had a power outage, cut too early, and was not locally recording. So they had to redo the match. It was bad times all around.
Yeah, that's a feels bad, man.
All right, Anglhz now participating in a war of angles.
Got the triple there at the end, I think.
Yep. All right. Rage hook shots now. he spent so long looking for that thing, he's going to get some use out of it, damn it. Oh man alive. This was a thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what we're even gonna say to Anglhz at the end here, because I have no idea what just happened for the last 2.5 hours. So, just a monstrous seed.
Honestly, I'm thinking we just pull him into the chat and let him go off like Leslie Pro did the other day. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, it was Digidude versus Slowpoke. I remember that now. Oh, please tell me you have a fairy, Anglhz. He doesn't. F to pay respects.
Yeah, we'll just have to jump back down into that fight.
All right, take two. Hopefully it goes a little bit more smoother. More smoother or better. Me speak words good. Just continuous hook shotting because he just doesn't want to get anywhere near those fire bats. Up. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Anglhz, do you not have any potions, buddy?
He did have a blue a minute ago. I don't know if he used it during the torch room incident. Okay, yeah.
He also had a red, so okay, cool. All right. Quarter of the way through phase 3, halfway through phase 3. I'm pretty sure because he took that death, phase 3 is no longer standardized and is now at the mercy of the regular RNG.
Oh no.
Oh please. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that too and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." Restreamer confirming that taking a death on one of the early phases of Ganon does invalidate the standardized pattern that the seed rolls with. I haven't seen a slog this bad since the year I decided to itemize my taxes. Wow. Wow. I hate that I almost sympathized with that reference.
Being an adult is the worst.
I'm so glad I don't make enough to take anything but the standard deduction. Itemized deductions just sounds like the worst. This is what this seed has reduced us to, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking. I am talking about income taxes.
Again, income tax is less painful than this seed.
Big pig exploding for Anglhz. Get your GGs out in chat as long as Anglhz survives the most dangerous. Blah blah blah. You know the drill. You can fall off the edge here if you're not careful. A lot of runners don't, but when it happens, it sucks.
And that's an official SRL time of 2:27:23. And welcome to Chat Anglhz.
Hi.
Yeah, about that. You want to talk about it, buddy? We're here to help.
Honestly, this was the mercy of the two seeds we had so far.
Excuse me, what?
The first game was just even more terrible than this one.
I have trouble imagining how that's possible.
I won that one at 2 hours and 45 minutes.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. And even with that, the Mr. DNA also had a controller outage that took off 2 minutes of his time.
Wow, this is a cursed series of some sort.
Okay, so hold on. I need to wrap my brain around this. You had a seed, you had an open 7-7 go 2 hours and 45 minutes, and
Yeah.
you had Mr. DNA had the capability. I just heard a follow alert go off from somebody. What on earth? Anyway, that's you. Okay, from 15 minutes ago. So you had all that stuff happen,
Mm-hmm.
and yet Mr. DNA took a look at that and went, you know what? Let's just do it all over again instead of, oh, I don't know, fast Ganon
Yeah.
6-6.
Yeah.
Granted, MC and standard aren't exactly stuff that shaves time, but you do a 2-hour 45-minute open and you leave it the same. Okay, props to you, I guess.
Yeah. So the thing that made a difference in that seed was that we got the Titanmith to get to the Dark World, and we both of us went into an early Sieve Town without a hammer, so we had that set behind. After about 40 minutes of us running around like headless chickens in the Dark World, both of us went into Ice Palace where we find both the hammer from the hookshot lock side and the hookshot from Cold Stare.
Wow.
And then after about 2:20, we were still looking for one solid item, and that was the Quake from Mr. Meyer. And where do you think that one was?
Pedestal.
Nope.
Thieves Town Big Chest.
Yes.
Dear God.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, enough about your game one. Let's talk about that game two, huh?
I mean, it felt so good in the beginning, so it's like, okay, what is gonna be the big problem with this one? And we quite honestly could see what it was.
Sorry. This as much as this seed probably broke you, it definitely broke me. I'm just like, I need a drink.
Sometimes you just have to laugh it off.
Yeah,
True.
we were joking about Sahasrabot becoming self-aware, but I think it has some sort of beef with you two. I'm not sure what's up.
Yeah, absolutely. And to the guy in the chat, I don't know about Mr. DNA though.
So yeah, I guess any thoughts as to if you want to change anything for race 3 or just let it ride and see how bad it can get?
Oh, I'm gonna definitely change something because this setting is cursed.
I was about to say, if you don't, I am seriously going to have you committed because, two straight 2.5 hour seeds on an open in a tournament setting. Yeah, no, something's got to give.
Yeah. I'm still thinking if it's gonna be fast cannon or if I'm gonna change it to standard instead.
Interesting. Well, we will definitely see. It'll be definitely interesting to see what decision you do make, and how that colors Game 3 of your Round 1 series. GG's to both of you, even though Mr. DNA did have to pop out. I don't believe he's in the chat because he was running late for dinner. Thank you all for joining us for the last 2.5 hours of insanity. We will be returning later tonight around 10:30 Pacific time. With Scrub Casual versus somebody. Scrub Casual versus Ikir with their first round matchup. So another open 7-7. Did I say something other than Eastern time? Shoot. 10:30 Eastern time is what I meant to say. All right. So yeah, Digidude will be on commentary for that one. I currently am signed up to track, but we'll see if that lasts because apparently people want to see me go even further off the deep end. Somebody may not step up. So hit that follow button here on Twitch to be notified when we go live. Hit up the podcast distribution method of your choice for the podcast, or go to gomodepodcast.com. Oh God, everything's gone terribly wrong because I can't even do the commands anymore. Discord. My restreamer's on it. Yeah, just click all those links that Amaranth Alterna is pumping into chat. Follow the runners, especially these runners, because holy mother of God, that seed. And follow your trackers, your restreamer, and your commentators. I'm just resigning myself to my fate. See you in 2.5 hours, folks.
As Plasma Kappa said, send help.
My God, why didn't I think of that?
I was going to go with I have seen enough to know that I have seen too much. I have no idea what just happened, but thank you to both runners. GG's to both of you. This was a great race to watch, even if it probably wasn't to run. So thanks everybody for watching, and we will catch you next time.